a lot of actually bankers are questioning, are the digital platforms or digital banking platforms secure enough? So can you give us more information about that, Sir John? For example, with your, I think you all have two platforms right now, digital platforms. You have POP and PBCOM Mobile. So can you share with us or the attendees on this event the security of the digital platforms that you have?
The regulations are very prescriptive in terms of what needs to be in place to ensure security. The BSP is a very comprehensive information technology risk management framework, and we as a bank have to comply with the regulations. And so there's, on one end, there's multi-factor authentication. In the middle, there's some analytics in terms of customer behavior, and on the other side, it's the traditional fraud and cybersecurity measures that should be there.
Okay, thank you very much, Ramon. So there are certain level of security that are in place that the customers or the bankers can feel, they can feel more secure to use the digital platforms. So
actually, I had this discussion with my father recently. You know, he and his friends, they're very, very traditional. And so they think it's safer to go to an ATM to pay a bill rather than download the app and pay that bill. So if you boil it down to the risk, there's the risk of you getting hit by a car, getting held up at the ATM, getting your card skimmed. When you download the app and do the transaction, the risks are reduced because of all the authentication measures, all the controls in place. And so to say that there are risks on the online platforms, it has to be said in the context of what is it compared to the traditional
relative
means of doing a transaction.
Exactly. I guess to add to that, I mean, it's a fair question that people would be asking if is it really safe to do banking through digital platforms. So, I mean, the introduction of technology actually adds, for me, in my opinion, adds that additional layer of security that has not been present in the past. It allows people to be able to feel secure. Actually, I mean, in the younger age of connectivity, there might be a lot of loopholes, but it has drastically improved over the years. And as John mentioned, there's a lot of layers of security, not only for banks, where it can also apply for e-commerce, for other markets, various levels of security. And I would imagine specifically for the banks, there's a lot of layers there coming from authentication, digital identification, to fraud detection, probably even predictive fraud detection using AI and ML later on. So again, that all boils down to, how do you understand your customers' behavior? Where do they usually do their banking through? Is it through the phone? Is it through the ATM? Is it through a lot of the other digital platforms? And you try to tie them up and understand better and create a lot more sophisticated algorithms to make sure that that particular customer is protected. So you can't do that before. You cannot actually do that. Maybe you can, but not as fast as we can do it right now because of the technology that is present right now. So I would imagine it's a lot safer relatively to the time before, but there's no digital platform for people to do their banking.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, what we're seeing is customers want to feel the security. They want to feel it.
Yes, exactly.
We did a customer survey, and they appreciate things like the OTP. They appreciate SMS notifications.
Yes.
If you really have to make it visible to them, and they appreciate it. And the more you make it visible to them, they get more comfortable using it.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, just to add to that, I totally agree on that one, because being a consumer myself, it makes me trust the system or the platform even more. And to add on what John said earlier, everything, there's actually a risk to everything, whether that be traditional banking or platform banking. It's really foolish to think if that a platform is free. But there's a really big difference between being having a risk and being like a risky type of transaction. There's a big difference between the two. Risk is like John said earlier, driving a car. There's always risk. There's going to be an accident, flat tire, or whatnot. But driving a car intoxicated or even blindfolded, that's risky. And for the banking platforms, specifically for the banking platforms, there are a lot of regulations. There are a lot of I mean, we've done a few banking platforms, and there are a lot of like auditing, even if they're not automated, reconciliation, checksums, and all those stuff, OTP. That really would, from a consumer perspective, it's no different than going to a bank like a brick and mortar, do an ATM transaction or even an over the counter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And since people will be seeing this, we can put all the controls.
Right.
But if you don't protect your phone, if you don't protect your password, you don't protect your PIN, then all of that is useless. So
it's compromised.
Sometimes you go back to the most basic: protect your phone, protect your password.
Yep.
Don't give your phone to anyone. Protect your PIN.
Yeah, security is end to end, right? It has to be a complete cycle. It doesn't have to be just the bank. You also protect yourselves.